We've been talking a lot about the current legislative session, but we're also still adjusting to laws enacted during the last one, like the near total abortion ban. Since that went into effect, we've seen about a 97% drop in abortions in Indiana. 21 Alive's John Wagner is in conversation with Nikki Kelly at the Indiana Capitol Chronicle tonight.
Nikki Kelly with the Indiana Capitol Chronicle joining us once again tonight on the news at 7, and tonight we're talking about abortion numbers. Of course, Indiana's abortion laws changed, and we're getting a new look on the numbers of abortions we're seeing in the state after the prior quarter. Nikki, give us a rundown on what we've seen, how our numbers have changed since the law changed.
Well, the significance of this report for the fourth quarter of 2023 is it's the first time that the ban has been fully in effect for the entire quarter. So we saw 46 abortions during that quarter in comparison to the same quarter of 2022 with no ban. There were more than 1,700 abortions. So we're definitely seeing obviously a huge drop.
So in your article at indianacapitalchronicle.com, you lay out about, from those 46, about half of the reasons given for the abortions were for things like fetal anomalies, and then the other half is about for the health and safety of the mother came into play, and then there were a few outlier cases of rape or incest. So this is also a new thing. We're learning the reasons why abortions are happening, which we didn't have that information before. Why do we have that now?
We didn't track reasons before because abortion was legal and we didn't need to know why. It was private medical information. The reason we're tracking it now is there are only 3 exceptions in the law, and those are them. So they want to know kind of which exceptions people are using. So that's all brand new data.
What are folks on the Right to Life side not so enthused about with this?
Well, I think they're obviously very happy at the drop, and they are supportive of the ban. They disagree with the Indiana Department of Health on a new policy that they're doing. For years, the individual terminated pregnancy reports were released to Indiana Right to Life and others who asked for them, redacted names, things like that. So you didn't know who it was for, but those groups are used to being able to get the individual reports. And those things, for instance, would allow them to see which doctors by name were performing the abortions, whether they were late in filing their paperwork, stuff like that. Well, since the ban is in effect and there are so few abortions happening, they got a public access counselor ruling. Basically, they asked, they as a healthcare provider, or these are healthcare records basically, because the doctors filling them out and they're about a patient. So they were concerned that they would be breaking HIPAA or patient confidentiality if they released those reports even redacted, because you can kind of reverse engineer them and figure out who that person is when there are only a few to look at. And so the Indiana Right to Life really wants to see the individual reports. I don't think they're happy with the aggregate report that is done every quarter.
Nikki Kelly at the Indiana Capitol Chronicle, you guys are down near the State House. You have a lot more contact with lawmakers and things. And I remember when this legislation was sort of working its way through, and we sort of enshrined a near total ban. One point of contention that a lot of women raised was that one of the exceptions for rape, it allows for 10 weeks post-fertilization. And women came right out and said, well, most women don't know that they're pregnant at 10 weeks or anywhere near that date. Has there been any sort of movement down around your area, around Indianapolis, to get some of these things changed or amended, or is this a done deal?
No, I mean, generally, I think Republicans are happy with the law. Democrats know there's no way to change it in the current supermajority, system that we have. And so there's not any movement that I've heard to make significant changes.
Again, just to give the numbers for folks at home, in the fourth quarter of 2022, there were 1,724 abortions. Fast forward to the fourth quarter of 2023, between October 1st and December 31st, we're down to just 46. And as far as, again, folks on the Right to Life side of things, what more would they like to see happen in terms of the law now?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely in their perfect world, those exceptions wouldn't exist. And that was a lot of the fight in the abortion ban session that we had, was whether there would be exceptions. Obviously, I think Right to Life would prefer there were not, but that is not what the majority of the legislature wanted.
Yeah, and I remember, of course, when this was passing too, I was surprised to hear that some folks on the Right to Life side were really not pleased with how this shook out. But again, it seems like this will be a thing that we have to deal with for quite a long time. Nikki Kelly with the Indiana Capitol Chronicle. You can see this full article right now at indianacapitolchronicle.com to get a look at the numbers and suss out this information for yourself. But Nikki, thank you so much for being with us tonight at 7.
Thanks for having me.